Welcome back, everybody. This is episode 43. We are here with Dr. Hovind. Really, I guess that we're really excited to have. But I guess I'll just let you get started with introducing yourself and a little bit about kind of why you have passion for this project.
Okay, my name's Kent Hovind. I've been a Baptist preacher 50 years. I taught high school science and math for 15 years. I believe the Bible is literally true and scientifically accurate. We've done 362 debates now with atheists at universities and online, defending the Bible as being correct. The Bible says God made everything in 6 days. Everything. That would mean dinosaurs had to live with Adam and Eve, not millions of years ago. I think evolution theory is not even a theory. The evolution religion being pushed in our schools is the dumbest and most dangerous religion in the world. It's stupid to teach the kids they're related to a tomato and they all came from a dot of nothing exploding. That's not science. That's religion. Well, that usually fires them up.
Yeah. So have you always felt this way, or is this like an ideology that you came onto later in life? Were you raised around this?
Well, I was raised in Methodist church, Lutheran church, Mennonite church. And when I was 16, somebody asked me if I was going to heaven. I said, man, I don't know. I've been baptized, catechized, circumcised, homogenized, pasteurized. What else you got to do? They said, well, have you ever sinned? Well, yeah. He said, well, then you're going to hell. He said, well, hold it. Doesn't God put my good against my bad or have a teeter-totter or something? He said, what judge in the world would do that? If you murdered somebody and you went to court and your defense was, Your Honor, it's true, I did murder this person. However, look at all the people I did not murder. Does my good outweigh my bad? That's not how it works. He said, okay, I'll just punish you for the one you did. And if God just gave you what you deserve for breaking his laws, we'd all be in trouble. That's why Jesus died on the cross. But when I got saved, I loved math and science. My dad was an engineer at Caterpillar Tractor Company, electrical engineer, and my other brother became a mechanical engineer. I was raised in a family of teachers and engineers. We like to be logical, rational, non-emotional, just analyze the subject. And I'd been taught in school the earth is billions of years old. Now, as a new Christian, at 16, I began reading my Bible. You don't have to read too far. You come to Genesis chapter 5, and you'll see it says Adam was 130 when his son was born, and he lived 800 years after that. The people before the flood came lived to be 900 years old. That's what the Bible says. After the flood, you go to Genesis chapter 11, they're still living to be 400, then 200, then 100. And today, hardly anybody makes it to 100. Why did they live to be 900? And I knew from studying biology, reptiles never stop growing. Never. Turtles, snakes, lizards never stop growing. What would happen if a lizard could live to be 900 years old? It'd be 50 feet long. Mm-hmm. That's the age of dinosaurs. Dinosaurs lived with Adam and Eve. Then, of course, I was taught in school it took millions of years to make Grand Canyon. I said, guys, wait a minute. The top of Grand Canyon is about 8,000 feet above sea level. The river enters the canyon at less than 3,000 feet and flows downhill from there. All rivers flow downhill. How did it flow uphill for 5,000 feet to start cutting the canyon? It's not possible. That river didn't make Grand Canyon. Grand Canyon's a washed out dam, probably formed in a week after Noah's flood, maybe 50 years later. Any lakes that are naturally full, what happens when any lake gets too full? It goes over the top at the lowest point and cuts a notch and drains the lake. That's what Grand Canyon is, a washed out dam. So gradually over the last 55 years, I've been finding more and more answers that say, man, the Bible is true. I've done this video series, got it in 42 languages. Sorry for my throat. I've had trouble the last couple of weeks.
Oh, no worries.
I did a video series, 18 hours long, $50. You can buy the whole thing on our website, drdino.com. There's 30 or 40, 50 ways to prove this earth cannot be billions of years old. That's video number 1. How to prove the earth cannot be billions. Number 2, DVD 2, is about the Garden of Eden. Why did they live to be 900 years old? Mm-hmm. We covered that video too. Number 3 is all about dinosaurs in the Bible. Dinosaurs are mentioned in the Bible. Noah took them on the ark. I'll be babies. Just be sure to get a pink one and a blue one. And after the flood, people killed most of them, calling them dragons, or they died from the climate change. Video 4 is about lies in the textbooks. We cover all this on our website, drdino.com. Dino. You can go there and watch all. I'm on about 10 different channels. We just want to help people. I want to strengthen your faith. I tell folks, if you'll watch my series, you could buy it for $50, watch it, send it back, and get your money back. I used to loan them out. I learned Christians don't steal, but they borrow and never return. Oh, no. You can't borrow it, but you can buy it and get your money back when you're done.
I actually had a question on the people living to be 900 years old, because I heard you mention this in one of your debates. You said that might be the cause of some, I guess we found skulls of earlier humans that have been elongated. And you said that might be due to the age of them. Could you explain a little more?
Any bodybuilder will tell you the more you build your muscle, the more it pulls on the bone, and it actually makes the bone stronger. Sorry. It's a slower process, but your bone actually gets more dense with muscles pulling on it. If you live to be 300 or 400 years old, just the chewing muscles, the masseter muscles, would enlarge your cheekbones, enlarge your jawbone, because that's where they attach. The frontalis muscle attaches to your eyebrows. Just the chewing mechanism pulls all kinds of muscles in your face. Well, if you chewed for 300 or 400 years, your bones of your eyebrow ridge would begin to grow. I'll show you here.
Okay.
Our cavemen. Here. I use about 50,000 slides in my presentation. Okay. They find skulls of people that obviously have larger brow ridge, and they have longer head. Occipital bun is grown. So they say we evolved from an ape-like creature, which is pure baloney. This is just an indication that somebody's living a long time. There you go. We got a bunch of skulls on display. You come visit our dinosaur adventure land. We're in Lenox, Alabama, straight north of Pensacola, 70 miles. The brow ridge grows the older you get.
And how many of these skulls do we have like this that are, do you know?
Well, there's never been a skull found that's, every skull is either 100% human or 100% ape, baboon or a gorilla or something. There's nothing in between. And even if there was, if you find a bone in the dirt, you could not prove it had any children. You sure couldn't prove it had different children.
Yeah.
No ape today is able to produce a human. No baboon, no gorilla. No. Why do we believe the ones in the past could do it? Make it happen today. I'll just show you about the bones of the head, though. There are some cultures that have just bigger brow ridge. I'll show you. I've got too many slides here. When you find bones in the dirt, all you really could prove is it died. You can't prove it had any kids, and you sure can't prove it had kids that were different. You can't prove it had kids that lived, or kids that lived and reproduced, or kids that were different. Why do they claim some bones in the dirt can do something no living animal can do? Make babies other than their kind. Every farmer in the world will tell you cows produce cows. Our cow up on the North 40 is pregnant. I haven't seen the baby yet, but I bet $5 it's going to be a cow. Even though it's up there running loose with the donkeys and the sheep and the squirrels. What would you call a half cow, half squirrel?
Wow.
It ain't going to be.
So I had a question regarding the elongated heads again. So I think at the beginning of the slideshow you showed some pictures of those skulls. And you're saying some of those were human and some were ape or monkey or some sort?
Every skull they found is 100% human or 100% ape. I'll show you. There are lots of differences. The cranial capacity, in other words, the brain size. For apes, 400 to 600. Humans, 1,400 to 1,500.
Okay.
The fact that they look a little similar only proves they have the same designer. God designed them all. The Chevy truck and but all the Chevy products have some similarities. They got round wheels. That's proof they evolved. No, that's a good design that works. So there we go. Larger brow ridge. I'll show you some people that actually have larger, but the skulls, the fact that there are similarities, 2 eyes in the front, that proves the same guy designed them. It's a design that works pretty good. You can see and get binocular vision and guess distances. The teeth, of course, are totally different. The DNA is different. Sure, there's some similarity. You know, Microsoft Word. Joseph, we looked up one time, how many lines of code for Microsoft Word? How many? Millions of lines of code for the Microsoft Word program. How many lines of code for Microsoft PowerPoint? Millions and millions. How many lines of code are identical in both programs? Probably lots.
Yeah.
I bet if I go to spell check while I'm in PowerPoint, and then I go to spell check while I'm in Word, it takes me to the same dictionary. Identical lines of code.
Mm-hmm.
That's not proof they evolved from each other. That's proof they got the same guys writing the code. The DNA code for one person's DNA. If we took your DNA out of your body, Shane, you'd die. But no, I mean, you got about 100 trillion cells. Each cell has 46 chromosomes, like a little tied up little spring. If you unwound it and stretched it out, it'd be 6 feet long.
Wow.
Hang on.
Did you have a question, Josh?
Hang on. He says there's 30 million lines of code in what? In the Office. In the Office suite, that would be all of them. And I would guarantee they use the same code many times. So it's the same designer. When you pull on your brow ridge with the muscle pulling, it elongates. It gets bigger. Right here. Coming up. Also, when you pull your head down and then pull it back up, the bones of the top of your neck, your sternocleidomastoid, etc., they're pulling on the back of your head, the occipital bone. Gradually, over time, it's going to get longer. The human jawbone is very different than the ape jawbone. Both have teeth because the same guy wrote the code. Here we go. The muscles on the back that pull up on your head are going to gradually elongate the bone. That pelvis is very different. So, sure, there are similarities, but evolutionists will look at these similarities and say, wow, this proves they're related.
Mm-hmm.
No, this proves they got the same guy designing them. I'll show you some people with a big brow ridge here. Right. Oh, come on, I don't. Well, the Nebraska man that was in the textbooks, Evidence for Evolution, all they found was one tooth.
And it was a pig tooth or what?
It turned out to be a pig tooth.
Yeah.
They found one tooth, made a whole skeleton out of it. You got to be good to know what his feet look like from his tooth. You got to really be good. One tiny tooth turned out to be a pig. There we go. There's the Nebraska man. Built down man, proven to be a fraud. All of them. There aren't any. They're missing the whole point. Bones in the dirt could never be used as evidence for evolution. No fossils count. All you know is it died.
Mm.
You see, big brow ridge. There are people today with a big brow ridge, eyebrow ridge. Let's see. There we go. The Neanderthals. After the flood, they're still living to be 400. The flood is what probably made the fossils. These ones that they find are probably from pre-flood. Now, the Aborigine people, they have a different brow ridge because of their tough first diet. We like to cook everything till it's soft, and we're kind of softies what we eat.
Mm.
Not them. They choose tougher material. There's a guy, big brow ridge, even got the hair, proves he's Neanderthal. How about David Harbour? Is he half monkey, half man? Oh, he's got a big brow ridge.
I like his
Up on
movies.
the back of, back of the skull, you got these the muscles pulling on the back of your head. That's going to gradually elongate the skull. So all they're finding are skulls of people that died in the flood, probably.
Mm-hmm. So these guys also probably had big old ears too, right? Because don't your ears and nose keep going?
Your ears and nose keep growing, depending upon your diet. That's really a dietary thing.
Okay.
Short answer is normally, yes.
Wow.
An older person will get real long ears, but there are dietary things that can stop that.
Okay.
So if I wanted to hear a lot of things, what do I have to eat?
I want to call Patrick Urish up in Pennsylvania if you want any health questions. The guy's a genius on health and nutrition. Call him and say, hey, what about this disease or this disease? For years, the British Navy lost 1 million sailors who died of scurvy.
Oh, wow.
For years, they kept dying of scurvy. They finally found out it's a vitamin deficiency disease. You need vitamin C. So they started taking limes on board. They called them the limeys. And it got rid of their vitamin C, got rid of scurvy.
Yeah.
A simple vitamin. Yep.
So another question I had on the kind of around the flood. So people lived to be 900 years old. Was that mainly just because of the climate of that time, or what do you think?
Well, there'd be several features. The Earth before the flood came, when they find amber, which is petrified tree sap, sometimes it has mosquito blood, like Jurassic Park. Sometimes amber has air bubbles trapped in it. When they analyze the air bubbles, they find out they're 32% oxygen.
Mm.
The air we're breathing is 21%.
Wow.
50% more oxygen than we have today. 32% compared to 21. The only trend in the recent literature is there was far more oxygen in the early atmosphere. Profound evolutionary implications. Air, at the time of the dinosaurs, was richer in oxygen. 80 million years ago, which is baloney, 50% richer. They've always wondered, how could dinosaurs breathe? They're 80 feet long and have nostrils the same size as a horse.
Mm.
How could he get enough air? Their lungs are too small compared to what they would need for today for that big body. Well, if you had richer air to breathe and greater air pressure, those two things would make it, you could get a lot bigger. You could run for 100 miles without getting tired.
And there'd be more plant vegetation, too?
Everything would be huge. Everything would be huge.
Yeah.
They find fossil trees that are ginormous. They find fossil grasshoppers 2 feet long, fossil dragonflies with 5-foot wingspan. Animals were huge. Reptiles got to be 50 feet long. We call them dinosaurs today. Those are bones, are ones that drowned in the flood. So if you get greater air pressure and richer oxygen, not only do your red blood cells carry oxygen like they do now, the hemoglobin will start carrying oxygen.
Wow.
Called hyperbaric treatment, hyperbaric therapy. So we have a hyperbaric chamber here at Dinosaur Adventureland if you want to come get in it. Hyperbaric treatment. A lot of hospitals have these. Somebody gets a certain problem, they stick them in a hyperbaric chamber. Heals all kinds of diseases. Just simply high pressure oxygen. In West Germany, all stroke patients are sent for hyperbaric oxygen treatment.
Oh, wow.
Rid of strokes. Multiple sclerosis treats it. This is 20 years ago. Japan's got over 200 chambers. They treat all kinds of diseases. Just about everything responds well to hyperbaric oxygen. There's a high pressure oxygen chamber in New York. This slide is 25 years old. Let's see, what's the date on this one? 2002.
That's when I was born?
Got a hyperbaric chamber. There's a one-person chamber. Yeah, a lot of professional football teams have hyperbaric chambers because their healing time is twice as fast.
Wow. So
when you're paying, go ahead.
You think oxygen is a big reason for some of the health problems we see nowadays?
That would be one major reason. Now, if you go beyond 32, it can become dangerous.
Okay.
You know, your car needs a certain amount of gas and much more air. Mm-hmm. Your gas might be, pick a number, say 1% gas and 99% air. Pouring gas straight into your carburetor will kill the motor. Mm. They can't run on that.
Yeah.
So there's a certain ratio you got to have. A body is designed to run perfectly on 32% oxygen.
Wow. Okay.
If you get more than that, you get what they call oxygen toxicity. It can be poisonous to you. Hyperbaric chambers. Got to have pictures of ours here, someplace in here.
So 33 would be oxygen. What'd you say? Oxygen toxic.
I think before the flood, I'm a strong believer in what's called the canopy theory. The Earth had a canopy of ice over the top of the air. The air we're in now, we're at the bottom of the ocean of air. It's about 50 miles thick. If you squeezed it all down to 10 miles and put a crystal canopy over a greenhouse, build a glass wall, a crystal wall over the top of the whole Earth, then you'd get greater air pressure and richer oxygen, plus it would filter out the UV light. Let me get my slides for that one. The plants would grow huge. They find fossil plants that are huge by today's standards.
So
here we go. Slide number.
Let me get that correct. So you think there was a giant ice cap around the Earth, kind of shielding us from everything? Would that act as like a magnifying glass for the stars and everything? Because a lot of times people will equate early humans to being really good star travelers and whatnot. Would that lead to them?
I don't think they were star travelers, but they would certainly see them more clearly. See, right now, the air is so thick, it distorts the light, and you see a twinkle. The star appears to wiggle. It's called atmospheric twinkle. That's just the light coming through the air. You get the same thing on a hot day when you look along the highway. You see the waves coming off the highway. Mm-hmm. You guys in Texas get hot days all the time.
We have them, yeah.
Yeah. If you compress the air down to, say, 10 miles and covered it with a couple-inch thick layer of ice, solid crystal clear ice, it would increase air pressure. it would not only let them see the stars more clearly, you could probably hear the stars. We know the stars are putting off music. There's a music to the stars.
How's that?
And I couldn't prove this, but I believe Adam and Eve didn't have a Bible. So God gave them the gospel story in the stars. And you're supposed to start with Virgo the Virgin and end with Leo the Lion. Jesus comes back as a lion. Today, that 12 divisions of the stars are broken up into the stupid horoscope, Yeah. But it used to be the Bible in the stars.
Wow.
I covered that on video number 7. And the stars are putting off music. I believe you could hear the stars because that crystal canopy would act like a crystal radio, and it would change the vibrations into something audible inside the canopy. You'd have beautiful music all day, all night.
So
you live inside the stereo.
Now, when the flood came, do you think it kind of all came down at once, or did it like slowly melt over time? This layer of ice?
If the canopy, the layer of ice over the earth, the Jews have always taught it was 2 or 3 fingers thick. Let's say 2 inches thick. Solid crystal ice all the way around the earth. Maybe 10 miles up. When the fountains of the deep broke open, it shattered. Now, super cold ice like that is magnetic. You get ice down to 400 below zero Fahrenheit, or minus 273 Kelvin Celsius. It becomes magnetic. So when the fountains of the deep broke open, it would shatter that canopy. And because ice is magnetic at low temperatures, it would be sucked in and dumped around the North and South Pole. I think they had 10 foot of snow falling per minute. Super cold snow. That's why it buried the animals standing up. They find frozen mammoths, woolly elephants, standing up, food still in their mouth. The food in their stomach is still fresh. Even after an animal dies, their stomach acid doesn't know they're dead. It keeps working. And so it would keep digesting the food. But no, I got slides here somewhere. Well, the Ice Age.
Well, what would an evolutionist possibly say how a dinosaur got frozen standing up? Just like an avalanche or something?
Well, I don't know if they found dinosaurs or not, but they find bobcat, lynx, jaguar, camels, mammoth. Sometimes the meat is so fresh you can still eat it.
Oh.
Here we go. Ice caps, slide number 557. Alt DV 557, enter. I don't think there's any question the Earth had an ice age. The ice pushed all the way down to Kansas City, Missouri. And if you look at the ice age maps that they've done, they've obvious evidence, glacial moraines, terminal moraines, glacial grooves, striations in the rock. If you look at the ice age evidence, you will see very clearly it came further south into America than it did into Russia. The center of the ice age is not the North Pole. It's the magnetic North Pole. We have 2 poles. We have a real North Pole we spin around, and then the magnetic North Pole where your compass points. Now, if you happen to be in the right spot, I think Texas is pretty close to 0, where you will have straight line for both. A magnetic compass will point to magnetic North Pole and to the North Pole. But if you're someplace else on the world, you got to allow for how far off are you? Okay, because you got to allow for the angle of declination, it's called. So the magnetic North Pole is the center of the ice age. I think the ice that used to surround the world got sucked in and dumped on the poles, very rapid snowfall, and made huge ice caps, burying many animals. And that ice is going to take 300 or 400 years to melt back. Super cold ice is magnetic. The water burst out from under the crust of the Earth, shattered the canopy overhead, and it began to snow rapidly on the North and South Pole. Super cold ice can be magnetized, or is magnetic. There's the magnetic North Pole compared to the real North Pole. And so the ice would be drawn in to the magnetic poles. Let's see, Texas, you're 5 degrees off, probably 7 degrees. Look at this, Joseph, Lenox, Alabama, where we are. We're in the perfect spot. 0.
Did you plan that?
No, that doesn't matter to me. The magnetic North Pole is moving, is getting closer to the real North Pole. But there's no question the glacier effects came clear down to Kansas City. When Noah gets off the ark, it's going to sound strange, the oceans were smaller and the continents were bigger because the ice caps were bigger. If the ice cap is bigger, it's trapping a bunch of water. It's going to take 200 or 300 or 400 years to melt back. as these glaciers melt back, I got pictures of it here somewhere, it would slowly raise the ocean level. That's why we have what's called a continental shelf. Here's evidence for the ice age and the scratches in the rock.
Oh, wow.
Let me get up to the, there we go. So when Noah gets off the ark, I think the continents were larger because so much water was trapped at the North and South Pole in the form of ice. That would, as I said, take hundreds of years to melt back, which means you probably had a couple hundred years after the flood, could walk anywhere. There it is, slide number 642. Alt UV 42. If you look around, Google continental shelf. All the continents have a shelf where it's not very deep. Like around England, you can walk out 100 miles before it gets 100 feet deep. The English Channel they fought to go across on D-Day, World War II, is 30 miles wide, but only about 40 or 50 feet deep.
Oh, wow.
I mean, that's deep enough to drown, I know, but still, it's not. The ocean's average 12,000 feet deep. You can see the continental shelf from a satellite around England. If you lowered the oceans just at 200 feet, take 12,000 foot of water, take out 200 feet, which is not much out of 12,000, freeze it, stick it on the North and South Pole. Now you can walk to Russia from Alaska.
Wow.
The land bridge would be really huge land bridge. If you raise the ocean a few hundred feet, there's what the world would look like. America. That's the continental shelf. I think that was the beach when they got off the ark. As the ice melts back, the oceans get deeper. Slowly it spills over between Cuba and Florida and fills in the Gulf of Mexico. But in Pensacola, Mobile Harbor, only 7 feet deep. They're constantly having to dredge it out just to get the ships to come park. One atheist said, Hovind, if there was a flood, how did the kangaroos get to Australia? Simple, they hopped. So they get everywhere. If you look, that's the continental shelf between Vietnam and Australia. If you lowered the water just 40 feet, I believe is all you need, to make it a land bridge. All around Indonesia, all the place over here, Sarawak, Papua New Guinea and all that stuff, only 30 or 40 feet deep.
So you're saying that you're thinking more of the land bridge as opposed to kind of Pangea or all the continents being together? Because
well, they claim Pangea that Africa and South America look like they would fit.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, my house and the neighbor's house would fit too if you slid them together. What does that prove? Nothing.
Yeah.
The shape of the continent is a pure coincidence based upon the water level. People say, do you think South America and Africa were connected? See, they're still connected right now. Aren't they?
Yeah.
Isn't there dirt under the ocean? I mean, if you took all the water out of the oceans, you'd notice there's dirt under there too.
Yeah.
What do you mean, were they connected? They're still connected.
But
always have been.
Would
you
it
think
be,
they're moving some?
Would it be possible that, I mean, I always thought, I never thought that much about it, but I was always under the impression that whenever the flood happened, that maybe the continents got thrown around. So you don't think it was that?
No. See, today's continents is just part of one continuous crust. The Earth has a solid crust all the way around. The oceans determine the shape of the continent.
Okay.
If you took all the water off the world, there'd still be a solid crust to the Earth. I do think the Earth broke up into plates at the time of Noah's flood when the fountains of the deep broke open. And some of the plates are still moving around. That's why we have earthquakes and volcanoes. These fault lines are everywhere. Let's see. All right. Got stuff on it here. Let me get back to my sorter mode. So, yeah, I do believe the continents are moving a little bit. That's obvious. That's why we have the earthquakes and volcanoes. But I don't think it's been like they talk about Pangea.
Okay.
First place, the shape of the continent does not matter at all. Okay? Doesn't matter. It's a coincidence based on the water level. Secondly, there isn't enough time. Earth's only about 6,000 years old. So if the continents are moving a little bit, and they probably are, it doesn't prove it's been going on for millions of years. If I go down to Interstate 10 in Pensacola, Florida, I see somebody headed east toward Jacksonville, Florida, at 70 miles an hour. Does that prove they started in Los Angeles 4 days ago?
No.
No, they might have just got on at the last exit. The continents might have just started moving last week or 4,000 years ago. We don't know. I think probably at the flood, the crust of the Earth cracked. It's like a busted up eggshell. Still changing around a little bit. I agree. But it's minor. There isn't enough time.
So you mentioned a couple of theories for evolution, like regarding, I don't know, like the ape skull and the flood, and maybe some of the Grand Canyon theories and stuff. What is one of the best arguments that you've heard for evolution that people have given you, or that you've heard
The
online?
only, the only good argument they have for evolution is millions of people believe it.
Hmm.
Okay, 55 million people followed Adolf Hitler.
Yeah.
I mean, he was right? No. Even if everybody believes something, that doesn't mean it's right. Truth isn't determined by majority opinion. So that's all they've got is, well, a lot of people believe it. So it just proves you got a good brainwashing program. That's all.
So
How many
what's the
people in
best
North Korea?
brainwashing program?
Yeah. How many people in North Korea think their president is a great guy?
All of them.
All of them. You have to, or they're going to kill you.
Yeah. The ones that are still alive.
Yeah. All the ones still alive think he's a great guy. Here's the picture I wanted to show you. Slide number 975. Alt TV. There. Is that a Neanderthal?
No.
Look at that. Look at that. Wow. That's proof he's part monkey.
So you think that guy's chewing?
Some people are just born with one.
Oh, okay.
People are different.
One of those pictures looked like he was in politics, and they're pretty close.
Yeah, yeah.
Neanderthals were.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy.
See, poly means many, and a tick is a blood-sucking animal.
Yeah.
It's pretty good, doesn't it?
I've never heard that one before. So, because you've been doing this for a while now, I don't know. Do you know how long you've been kind of? I don't know a better word, but on this crusade.
Well, been 35 minutes with you guys. It's been 35 years since I started my ministry on creation, science, evangelism. You can Google Dinosaur Adventureland. But he gave us 140 acres in Lenox, Alabama,
Oh wow.
building a Christian camp, museum, a science center, a theme park. It's fun. Come down and visit. Only thing I got to warn you about if you come, it's free. We have 25 cabins you can stay in for free for a couple of days. After that, we're going to put you to work. But we do have well water. We have well water. A lot of people don't realize this, but if you drink well water, your babies will be born naked.
Interesting.
So be
thought
ready
about that
for
one.
that.
Are you
Yep.
so? You've been doing this for 35 years. How has evolution, or the reaction to it, changed in your lifetime? Do you think it's gotten more popular, less popular, or the same?
Well, we're making a giant dent in the evolution of religion, and they've gotten more violent, I guess, radical. They say the dumbest things. They're still using all the old arguments for evolution that have all been proven wrong. They're still teaching the kids they got gill slits before they're born, like a fish. That was proven wrong in 1875.
Yeah.
So we're talking 150 years ago. Proven wrong. They still have it in the textbooks.
Yeah.
Why? It's not true. I had a guy on my show last night. You can go to drdino.com. He goes to the public school and says, would you please take this out of your textbook? This isn't true. If you had a math book and your kid was going to school and brought the book home and it said 2 + 2 = 5, what would you do? You'd at least notify the teacher, this ain't right.
Yeah.
Or notify the school board, look, would you tear that page out of the book? You're going to confuse the kid. Do something. There are 30-some lies, maybe 40 lies in the textbook. All of them are used to support the evolution theory. I covered that on video number 4, lies in the textbooks. Get the whole seminar series, 18 hours. Lies in the textbook. If you take all the lies out of the textbook, which is common sense, of course we should do that, there's nothing left to support the evolution theory. I was in a debate with an atheist one time, and I went through some of the lies in the book, and he actually said, folks, Mr. Hovind is right. These things are not correct. But Mr. Hovind, they never called me doctor, even though I got 3 doctor's degrees. He said, Mr. Hovind is right. These things are not correct. But he said, Mr. Hovind, I got a question. If we take all these things out of the book, what are you going to replace it with? I said, folks, what he's trying very hard to not say is, we don't have any real evidence for our theory, so we got to use these lies. If we take our lies out, there's nothing left to support our theory. So you got to find evidence for the theory. Sorry, sir, I think your theory is stupid. There's no evidence for it.
Yeah.
No. You don't need to teach evolution in any science at all. Evolution is unrelated to science. You can learn all the anatomy. This is the deltoid muscle. This is the biceps, the triceps, the humerus, flexors, extenders, radius, ulna, carpals, metacarpals. No doctor on the planet worries about evolution when he's doing surgery. He just better know his anatomy. That's all. Evolution is a waste of classroom time. It's not true. It doesn't happen. But that's their religion, and they want us to pay to teach it.
So
Yeah, and it's so crazy that it just blows my mind that they would. It's harder to prove evolution than it is creation, and they go through all the hassle to do that.
But you got to define. When I do debates, I first define what do you mean by evolution, because that's a slippery word. There are 6 different meanings to the word. I've got them here someplace. Anyway, you'd have to have, first of all, what's called cosmic evolution. That's the origin of time, space, matter. Where did matter come from? There's a lot of matter in the universe. Where did gravity come from? Who made the law of gravity? Where did space come from? Where did energy come from? There's a whole lot of energy being expended, all these stars burning, all that fuel. Where did the energy come from? Each atom has proton, neutron, and electrons whizzing around. What got them started whizzing around, and why don't they ever get tired? Don't electrons ever get tired? They've been whizzing around awful fast for a long time. And if there's protons in the nucleus together, I thought like charges repel, except in San Francisco. So shouldn't the whole nucleus explode? What holds the atom together? They say the strong nuclear force. That's not an answer. That's giving it a name, but you still don't know what it is. Nobody knows what gravity is. I can tell you a little bit about it. I taught physics. We can tell you the acceleration due to gravity. And the distance it falls is 1/2 gt squared, so 16t squared. Yeah, I can understand that. But what is it? Nobody knows what light is, for heaven's sake. We know what light, we can take light and we can bend it, reflect it, refract it, diffuse it. But nobody knows what it is. Give me a jar of light. How much does a gallon of light weigh? What exactly is light? Nobody knows. God said, he's light. Okay, that's good enough for me. I don't have to understand it to use it. I'm using it right now, okay? Yeah. But nobody knows what it is. So these guys, they claim they've got evidence for evolution. I say, I'd love to see it. What do you mean by evolution? Do you mean Big Bang? Oh, no, that's not part of it. Yeah, it is. It's an essential part. You have to believe everything came from a dot of nothing exploding. There's no other choice. You have to believe that. Then that explosion produced all this dust particles flying out at faster than the speed of light. How did they get together to make planets? Because every second you wait, they get further apart. If they're all going off from once, if a hand grenade exploded, how far out in the field do the particles get back together? They don't.
Yeah.
They get further apart. Duh. I don't know how they don't get it.
Now,
I love making fun of it. I do.
The reason I kind of brought up the question earlier about how is evolution being received from your point of view lately is because I feel like it's actually fallen apart for the most part with a lot of people, even with atheists and whatnot. They're realizing that it's kind of a dumb ideology, and because of that, I have seen more theories coming up that are a little bit more obscure. I don't know if you've heard about these, more like the stoned ape theory and stuff like that, where humans evolved quicker through the use of psychedelics. And I mean, I think this evolution is a slippery slope into trying to make things work together with just wild observations. Have you heard about any of that?
I've only heard just a little tiny bit about the stoned ape idea. I think it's the professors that are stoned.
That's fair.
You'd have to be stoned to believe such a thing. Getting stoned doesn't change you into another kind of animal.
Yeah.
I've never been stoned. I've never taken drugs, never tasted alcohol. But I've seen some people that did. It makes them stupid. It doesn't make them smart.
Yeah. Now, I also think along with that, this new science that they're doing with the multi-dimensions, I think that's how they're going to explain some of these time problems. Like I've heard you had a really good talk about the Earth and the Moon and how it can't be 4 billion years old. It has to be something like 1 billion.
Well, yeah, the moon is going around the Earth. Here's the size of the moon compared to the size of the Earth. As the moon goes around, it's gradually getting farther away. It's in a not quite a perfect circle. It's called an ellipsoid. But the moon goes around, and it's leaving us. It's spiraling away about 1.5 inches a year. If you watch my video number 1, I think I've got that open here. I can call that up real quick. Oh. But yeah, they've done a lot of study on this. It's called the lunar recession problem. And it's a problem. The moon is leaving us 1.5 inches a year. Let me get the actual documentation, because atheists say, well, that's not, where's the evidence? I show them the evidence, and they still don't believe it.
Yeah.
I pointed out that atheists believe they came from a rock. One of them got really angry. No, we don't believe we came from a rock. I showed them right from their textbooks. The Earth was a hot ball of rock. It cooled down, rained on the rocks for millions of years, turned them into soup, and the soup came alive. You believe you came from a rock? Oh, they get mad about that. I enjoy laughing at them. Let's see. The receding moon. Here we go. Moon goes around the Earth once every 27 days. It's about 240,000 miles away, roughly. How quickly is Moon moving away from Earth? Wow. Moon's moving away? Yeah, about 1.5 inches a year. Moon is leaving us. Moon is leaving us. 1.5 inches a year. I feel like we're drifting apart. NASA website. Okay. That's because we are. The moon is moving away from the Earth about 1.5 inches a year. I don't think anybody argues with this. Like I say, guys, the moon is leaving us. You agree? Yeah. Now think for a minute. That means it used closer. Would that make a problem? If you brought the moon in closer, it would make some problems. Because the tides get higher, for one thing. You folks in Dallas probably don't worry about the tide.
No.
Pensacola, they worry about the tide, okay? Well, the moon is getting further away from us. Wow. Space.com. Earth's moon is destined to disintegrate. The moon is leaving. Moon's bye-bye, moon. Okay? It's leaving us. They've done all the math on this. The orbit's increasing. If you brought the moon back into 1/3 the distance, there's a formula in physics called the inverse square law. You take that fraction, 1/3, and flip it over, inverse it, and square it. 3 squared is 9. So if you brought the moon into 1/3 the distance, it'd be 9 times the gravitational pull. The inverse square law applies to gravity. It applies to light. Photographers have to study that kind of stuff. It applies to magnetism. It applies to girls. I get a certain distance from my wife. It's like, oh, wow, come here, honey, get 1/3 that. It's 9 times the pull. And 81 times. Never mind. Okay, it gets worse. So, that's how the world's full of people. So anyway, if you go back in time, you're going to say, wow, the moon was closer. How close could it get before it becomes a problem? The lunar recession problem. The lunar orbit collapses a little over 1 billion years ago. You get 2 magnets too close together and they snap together. The pull is too great. They say Earth-Moon system could only have been going for 1.4 billion years. Okay? Earth-Moon formed 4.5 billion years ago. Well, how can it be getting further away and the maximum time is 1 billion? It's a problem. They just ignore it. You say, we don't know that. We'll just keep on. We'll keep studying, send more money, government grant,
So the moon getting farther away from the Earth, all of those look like all of those screenshots of the web, the links and stuff show that they're thinking it's a problem. And you were saying that if it's how close can the moon be to the Earth, if the Earth is 1 billion years old. I just did quick math, and if it's correct, then if the moon is leaving or getting further away from the Earth by 1.5 inches every year, then if the Earth is 6,000 years, that means it's about 9,000 inches from the beginning of the universe or beginning of the creation of the Earth. Which is like 750 feet. So
yeah, no big deal.
Yeah, and so even if the moon is moving further away from the Earth, then there's no big implications there. Because you said if it was even like 1/3 closer, then there would be 9 times attraction or whatever.
You had 750 feet out of 240,000 miles. That's 0.0001%. Now, but you got to be careful. The rate it moves is going to be logarithmic, a curve, not a straight line. You can't just simply do the math by simple algebra. It's going to be a logarithmic curve.
Okay.
I say we know the moon's moving away. You go back billions of years, it'd be really close, whizzing around just above the surface. And that's what happened to the tall dinosaurs. They got mooned. Yeah.
That's hilarious. So, with the dinosaurs, this is another question I had. Do you think basically all of the fossils were from the flood, or do you think any good majority happened before or after the flood?
I don't think there was any before the flood. See, fossils don't form unless they're buried quickly.
Okay.
How many animals died in the last 5 years in the whole world, would you guess?
A
Hundreds
trillion?
of millions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Colonel Sanders killed a bunch himself, didn't he? Okay.
I helped him.
So the fact that we have fossils at all is good proof of a flood. All over the world, petrified clams are found in the closed position. Petrified closed clams had to be buried alive, because as soon as clams die, they open up. Somebody eats them, the crabs or the seagulls or the fish. Petrified closed clams are found on top of Mount Everest. There's trillions of these. We got a bunch in our museum here. You got to come tour Dinosaur Adventureland, guys. You will love it. It's amazing. I told you about the well water. I didn't tell you about the tea. My wife, for lunch, serves tea. Honey, tea is dangerous. There was an Indian one time that drank 4 gallons of iced tea. That night, he drowned in his teepee.
Mm. Yeah, we love tea down here in Texas, so that's tempting.
We have
Listen, you got to understand. Yeah, I know. I taught science 15 years. It messed up my brain. Teaching high schoolers, it'll mess up anybody's brain.
Yeah.
I believe that.
Josh, do you have a question?
I have just random questions that doesn't really have to do with what we've been talking about, if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay. I had recently been researching IVF and stem cell transplants, because I had recently learned that during the process of IVF, the embryos that are left over from the two donor parties that they don't want anymore are sometimes used for stem cell transplants. And if you're a believer and a Christian, then I don't know how you would go about getting a stem cell transplant if you don't know where that stem cell is coming from, because embryos have kind of one of the higher counts of stem cells, I believe. I don't know what your take on it would be regarding having to get a stem cell transplant and finding the morality in getting that, even if it is from embryos.
Yeah. The moral issue is one way to look at it, and we should, okay? It's in helping people be more encouraged to do abortions, okay? I think that's murder, plain and simple. But the other application is, if it takes a whole bunch of intelligent doctors to extract the information from one entity and put it into another, why on earth would anybody think that information that they're extracting evolved by chance? Why don't they just make sperm and eggs in the laboratory out of chemicals?
Yeah, because if they believe in chemical soup, why don't they just make it?
Make it. It'd be a lot cheaper.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Sure.
I guess, could you give a little bit more? I kind of wanted to ask you this towards the beginning of the podcast, but I forgot. What are some of the implications you see that could be really bad about evolution?
If evolution is true, how do you tell right from wrong? Where's your standard? I've got a standard. I can tell right from wrong because the God who made us told us right from wrong. Thou shalt not kill. Murder. Thou shalt not steal. If evolution is true, where's the standard for right and wrong? I've often asked atheists the question, would it be wrong for you to go next door and kill your neighbor's baby and eat it? If you were hungry, you're really hungry, you go next door, you kill the neighbor's baby and eat it. Would that be wrong? Well, yeah. Well, hold it. The lion does it to the zebra every day. Is it wrong for the lion to go next door and kill the zebra baby? Hey, what, you folks who think it's wrong for believe in evolution, why don't you go to Africa and hold up a sign in front of the lions? Stop eating the zebra baby. They'd stop for a whole day while they eat you.
Yeah.
Is it wrong to eat a dog, you think, as a human?
I don't know of anything wrong with it in Scripture. Now, the Jews had certain dietary laws. If you're Jewish, you can't eat certain things. You're not supposed to eat pig or pork chop. Hey, I'm
Right.
Norwegian. I'll eat all the bacon.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I agree. Love bacon. So what are the I know you've been canceled before cancel culture was a thing many years ago, and I don't know what was the reception to you regarding that within kind of the young creation atmosphere with all that going on.
Well, they took me to prison for absolutely no good reason. I didn't break any laws at all. If you go on our channel, Genesis Baptist Church is our YouTube channel. We had one, Kent Hovind Official. They shut it down because I mentioned a no word, that you're not supposed to talk about, putting a needle. So they closed my channel down. And so we started a new one called Genesis Baptist Church. And you can see my stuff on there. Go on there and go to the playlist. At the playlist, there's a section called Rumors. Was it 3 or 4 videos? 4 videos answering the rumors. When you find out why they put me in prison, you're going to say, that was evil what the government did. I had some Christians abandon me because of that. I say, guys, I don't work for you, but half the Bible's written from prison. More than half written by people who went to prison or captivity. How about Daniel? Was he taken off to captivity? How about Joseph? How about Paul? You can read Paul's books. I mean, he wrote half the New Testament.
Right.
So I did not do anything wrong. I didn't break any laws. The government broke 100 laws to put me in prison.
Wow.
Hey, while I was there, I wrote 8,000 letters. I wrote 37 books in prison. I got 2 more doctor's degrees. So I led Bible study 4 times a day, led 800 men to the Lord. I don't want to go back, but I tried to use my time wisely. So,
Sure.
Yes. Now, some Christians abandoned. Okay. That's their
Sounds like
loss.
you used your time wisely in such an unfortunate circumstance.
Yeah, Romans 8:28. Everything works together if you love the Lord.
Wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, a lot of people would look at that as a bad time, but it sounds like you got some good work in there. Sounds like you were hustling.
I like to use my time wisely.
There you go.
Hustling for the Lord.
That's awesome.
Great.
Amen.
Now, do you have any other? Because we talked about some really good points here, but do you have any other just creation kind of evidences that you really like?
I think it's obvious if you just open your eyes and open your ears and look and listen. There has to be a designer. If I told you nobody made this ink pen, nobody, it made itself, you'd think I was a fool. One cell in your body is way more complicated than an ink pen. And you're a fool to not believe there was a designer of the human body. But if there's a designer who made this world and made us people, that would mean he owns us. If he owns us, he gets to make the rules. Thou shalt not. He can make those rules. He owns us. If you don't like his rules, go make your own universe and live over there. But if you're going to live on his planet and breathe his air and eat his food and drink his water, he makes the rules. And so people don't like those rules, so they deny his existence, which is just plain stupid. Okay, there has to be a God. Which God? Is it Allah, Buddha, Jehovah? That's a different argument. But there has to be a designer for this universe. Then, is it logical if he made us and he's got some rules? I think it'd be logical that he would have somebody write those rules down, write a book, write them on stone, 10 Commandments. I think it's also his responsibility to preserve those words. If your city passes the law that said the speed limit is 40 miles an hour on Main Street, they got to do 3 things. They got to publish it in the county records or city records. We passed a law that the speed limit is now 40. Publish it. Then they got to post it, put up a sign, speed limit 40. You got to preserve it. Somebody knocks the sign down, get out there, put a new one up. They can't fine you and get their money, give you a ticket for breaking the law if the law was secret. So the law has to be published, posted, and preserved. If God's going to be our judge one day, it's God's problem to publish his word, to post it, and to preserve it. I think he preserved it for us. I'm holding a copy of it right here. I know what God wants. I don't always do it, but I know what he wants. That's step 1. And so I think everybody should examine their heart. If you are listening today, have you gotten born into God's family? We've all sinned and we all deserve hell. But just why Jesus died on the cross and rose from the dead, his blood will pay for my sin. What a deal. I get a free ticket to heaven. I accept his payment onto my account. And then he wipes the record clean. When we get before Judgment Day, before the Lord, they call out Kent Hovind. The angel's going to open the book of everything I've ever said or thought or done. Everything. He's going to say, Lord, this is blank. All the pages are clean. That's for that.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's a great point. Knowing that God preserved the law is his wants for us, and we have an obligation and a duty to teach that and to live by it. Yeah, that's a great point.
That's awesome.
All right. Well, guys, I got another appointment at 1 o'clock in 3
Yes.
minutes. Something else we can talk about.
Yeah,
Sure.
we really want to respect your time. We appreciate you jumping on today. And I guess anywhere else you want to let people know where to go, where they can find you?
Our main channel is drdino.com. You want to put that back up, Joseph? I'll just scoot over this time. There we go. Oh, other way.
Oh.
This way. Okay. We're blocked out.
All right.
Our main channel is drdino.com. That's fine. You can call 855-BIG-DINO. You can come visit Lenox, Alabama. Good luck finding that on a map. Population 30. Average age 95. But we have 25 cabins. We have a 12,000 square foot science center. We have 17 lakes and ponds for fishing and swimming, all free. We give tours. It's amazing. Come on down. Bring your whole family. Bring your whole church. Bring anybody. We've had a lot of visitors from 78 countries now. We're on Odyssey, on Rumble, on Facebook, on TikTok, on other places. Whatever that is. So follow. Why not join in? If you have any questions, call 855-BIG-DINO. I'm extension 3. Big calls all day long. Glad to help.
All right. Well,
Great.
thank you so much.
For having us.
Yes.
All right.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you, guys.
All right. We'll be seeing
Sure.
you.
Oh, yeah. Hang on. Hit the like button. What? Oh, you got the link. If you ever want to do another program, let me know.
Will do.
All
Thank
right.
you, sir. We appreciate it.
Thank you,
All
sir.
right. Thank you, brother. All right. Bye-bye.
Yeah, we don't know nothing, but we hope you enjoy the something. We just don't keep that don't know nothing. You know we have fun and it does not bust it. We love you, homie. May we keep the gravy and stuffing. Gravy and stuff, and I keep your mom in a Dutch oven. Gravy and stuff. Gravy and stuff. Gravy and stuff.